number 1 and number 2, but it's the rest of the field where we don't have as much clarity. So we are going to work towards finding out who stacks up against those two teams because, like you said, litmus test for sure, but we are ready to go here. Krakoa for map number 1, picks and bans in, and yeah, welcome back. Gambit being the first ban here as per usual. Black Cat save from JFT, so going to get a little bit of calling card action, but no Devil Dinosaur for them. That's going to be DXA's second ban on the day here.
And I'm wondering if DXA are going to try and go for that full counter dive strategy up against Joji on that Black Cat. He was a very much so a high point when it came to this JFT squad. I also want to give a shout out to Wosh, who played a fair bit of Hulk, and I think that threw a curveball that Fury weren't quite ready for on domination. And I think that if you're DXA, maybe you saw that and you're like, okay, well, we got to try that counter dive strategy again. It didn't work against Genji because it's Gen G, but JFT is fortunately not Gen G, so maybe it will work this time around.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like what I've seen out of Wosh's Hulk for sure. I'm with you there. I want to see more of that, and this is the perfect opportunity here. Definitely a dead heat between these two teams, so they're going to get to both shine a little bit more here. It's going to be one-sided Black Cat for JFT and one-sided Devil Dino for DXA, so already a battle line's being drawn between the two new heroes in the game here, but changing things up a little bit as well here. Luna Snow, her stocks are definitely up here in Season 8, and she is going to take the ban from both sides of the board here. DXA going to opt for a Mantis save. Ultron ban from JFT, so looking to kind of temper some of those damage amplification strats we saw a ton of during the preseason and a lot during Season 7 in general as well. So, you know, there's a little bit of something old, something new in these drafts we've seen so far. White Fox save to round out JFT's draft, and yeah, definitely like what we're seeing so far in this season. A little bit of the new stuff and a little bit of the classics rerun as well.
Yeah, speaking of the classics though, like that Ultron ban is kind of it's kind of bugging me. I gotta be honest, because like you mentioned, like the damage amplifications with the Ultron and the Mantis, like you already saw the Mantis be protected. You don't often see Mantis and Ultron together these days. I mean, it's definitely a valuable strategy. It's definitely something that you could go for, but I think, you know, with the Mantis being protected, you kind of want to, you know, call the back line, be like, okay, well, if you're gonna play the Mantis and you want to try and play some sort of triple strat, we're gonna make you play the most susceptible to dive version of triple stat we can possibly concoct. You know, force you on maybe the Cloak and Dagger, force you onto something a little bit less comfortable, but you've basically given up the Mantis, the Invis, the Cloak and Dagger as well. The White Fox didn't actually get banned, so even though we saw the Protect coming through from one side, both sides are going to be bringing the White Fox to the dance floor, at least initially here on Krakoa. And yeah, you kind of just, you know, made it difficult for Joji to get the most value out of this Black Cat pick, so we'll see if he's able to, but that is where JFT like to butter their bread.
Yeah, definitely going to try to revolve around that Black Cat. A ton of new strategies coming to the table here, but you're all right, there's a lot open on the board for DXA to pick up in spite of the bans they took, and yeah, I definitely thought the Ultron was pretty interesting here, but very heavy strategist focus for JFT's bans this time around. We will see if it pays off here on Krakoa. Map number 1 here. Welcome to day 2 of the Oceania group stage elimination match on hand between the two of them, so I expect no holds barred here, especially when you've got the powerhouses of Black Cat and Devil Dino on both sides of the board.
Gak is going to have to be the ultimate anchor here for DXA, manning that Devil Dino. We talk about how strong he is, and I often call him like the best anchor Vanguard in the game. JFT playing pretty much a full dive composition with OP not having access to Devil Dino being the anchor for the JFT side. If Wosh and Joji can manage to get their man and Gak isn't there, easy peasy. But Tashi already taken down early on there from Peter, so Joji's job just got extra easy.
Yeah, Duelist for JFT locked in and ready for this matchup here. Phoenix stock's definitely up here in Season 8 as well. Already seen plenty of her and plenty of White Fox as well. Winter finding fix in the White Fox mirror. Gact as well gonna go down. That is a dinosaur sent all the way back to the prehistoric era here, and JFT gonna take the first flip.
Yeah, and Gact, I think, you know, playing that Devil Dino in a pretty suboptimal position, instead taking the duel with the Emma Frost, and we know how effective an Emma can be up against that Devil Dino. Another part of the reason why a lot of teams like to play that Emma, you can't take the Vanguard duel there. You have to try and sit on your strategist and avoid Joji and Wosh from getting access to your strategist, or even to some of your squishier heroes like your own Phoenix. You can't be losing those duels.
Yeah, cannot afford. There is just not the room for error here. Pars, though, gonna fight back from the side of DXA. 1 KO for the Phoenix here to get things rolling. That's a White Fox taken down as well. So backline in a little bit of trouble here for JFT, and Tashi gonna try to capitalize on it here. Going for the Rocket Raccoon and will take down Slippery as well. So Matt Murdoch on the move. Dev picking up one on the Captain America here. Both sides going to the cap as Woj picks it up and sent right back to spawn there by Gact on the Devil Dino. So DXA making the flip here. 44% for JFT.
Yeah, now that's Tashi and Nev both getting their man when it comes to these dives. It's a little bit split, but at the same time, Gax played it correctly this time around. Instead of, trying to take that particular Vanguard duel, stayed back and peeled so that when Wosh tried to get any value off the Captain America, got caught in Gax's jaws, wasn't able to get it, and got sent back, and couldn't even retreat back to his healers because they were under the full force of Tashi, and familiar place, that's exactly where they are once again.
Yeah, can be tough for Dino to get up in there in the mix. Looking to not overextend here, but a quick pick there from Peter. Headshot onto Tashi and Daredevil just like that. All the way back to square one here, and JFT slowly wresting away control here. Double KO for that Phoenix. Joji and OP gonna pick up a couple of KOs here as well, though Par's gonna get back up off the BRB beacon from the rocket. A triple KO now for OP's Emma Frost here. Most of DXA lights are out, and now JFT 50% of the way there.
And Tashi just came through that portal, walked into a rake, and just one quick headshot, and Peter took him down, and it all just kind of spiraled out of there. Slippery invests the CYA, but I don't even know if that was necessary. I think JFT had already kind of won that fight. 5 ultimates about to come online for JFT, 6 for DXA, so this next fight is going to be a bloody one, but the longer it takes, the more it's going to favor JFT as they have the lead. Yeah, a little bit of extra insurance there from that Rocket Raccoon, and JFT gonna ensure they stay in control here into this fight. Par's taken out extremely early here. Now Tashi and Rexy gonna try to get some ultimates going here, letting the Devil out and amplifying it with the CYA. That brings out a whole host of ults from the side of JFT, and all the while they are still building that capture progress. Joji looking to finish off some of the backline for DXA. That Black Cat moving different here. So hard to pin her down, and Peter will find another headshot onto Tashi over and over again. Joji as well. The duelist for JFT, absolutely deadly so far here on the first point of Krakoa. Fix gonna get in the mix here, take down the opposing White Fox. Joji will take one right back on Black Hat, and that's the calling card coming out now, dashing all over the arena here. Triple KO for the Black Cat. Gonna look to make it 4 there on Felicia Hardy here as JFT fully in the driver's seat. 99% of the way captured, though that KO feed looking pretty blue now, and maybe just a miracle play for DXA. They're able to make that flip, and now they are at 50% captured. But I kind of feel like DXA were a little bit too greedy with their ultimates because they could have won that maybe 25% ago if they had been a little bit more aggressive. Instead, they hold on to all of their ultimates, I think afraid to overcommit, even though JFT had already used pretty much everything but the calling card. They popped that Freedom Charge where I think they were probably holding specifically for that calling card and end up closing out the fight off the back of some Tashi heroics, but he's not having any heroics this time around. Joji has caught him out, and now we're going to have the End Song Inferno coming out from Pars, and JFT are going to be on the back foot now. Another ultimate forced out here from DXA. They don't have the resources here to get this all the way, so they need to rely on just raw KO potential. Tashi has had that in the past, but Nev is about to get pushed through death's door, and one final shove from Wosh will do it.
Yeah, double KO on that Captain America. JFT just need one fight here. They will make the flip. OT goes into effect there. Triple KO for the Captain here. Wosh, not on the Hulk this time, but good stuff on that Captain America. There is a strange portal coming in from Pars. They'll make it just in time with a couple seconds of overtime left to go here. But what is the follow-up here? Peter goes overhead for an In-Song Inferno and got an easy target there. We'll find a couple of KOs, not finals for the Phoenix, but that damage so important here as JFT will lock down point number 1 on Krakoa.
And again, I think it goes back to that big ult fight where you had 6 for DXA, 5 for JFT. JFT, they get a little, a little too big. They go for 3 ults early and don't find any elims off the back of it, and DXA just try to ride that one out. But the problem was JFT had control of the point the whole time, so they built it up to 99, and JFT start to build up to their next round of ultimates all throughout as well. So DXA don't have them when they need them. When the next fight comes up, JFT just go in with the execution there. Joji and Wosh doing a great job of picking off Nev, keeping him checked. Tashi is getting his man here and there, getting access to JFT's backline, but is also getting caught out just as often by Peter. So you're getting a fair bit of parity between all of these different members of these teams, and that's what I want to see. I feel like JFT's dive comp just looks a little bit cleaner, but DXA, I wouldn't count them out just yet. They get a couple more things clicking, and they could be able to even the score here on Krakoa.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams have been trading wins since they first met back in the preseason. Now JFT advantage here on Krakoa, 1 point capture for them, and it's pretty much exactly like you say, CB. You know, DXA, they put all the chips down, they invested a lot of ults into that fight, they were left kind of high and dry. Meanwhile, JFT just fortressing around that first capture point there. Plenty of opportunity for them to dig their feet in and hold that thing to the very end. That leads us to where we are now here. DXA left 1 point shy here. They're going to have to win both of these remaining capture points on Krakoa to try and turn things around.
Yeah, they still don't have any ults for it. They're gonna have to try and build up to it. Winter has that Kumiho Unleashed. Not the best initiation tool, but Wosh does have that freedom charge. We'll see if he tries to use it aggressively or defensively.
And Rexy's gonna go ahead and throw down the CYA, so DXA gonna try to find a foothold here. There is the freedom charge from Wosh. Now the rest of JFT gonna come to bear here. It is gonna be a double KO for Pars, though, off that headshot onto Joji's Black Cat. So Felicia sitting back to spawn for now. Tashi getting in the mix as well here. Tashi and Pars, a dynamic duo back in the preseason, put in some serious work, and now here again, letting that Devil out. Triple KO for the Daredevil, and still holding that ult too. Didn't even need to use it here, as that KO feed looking pretty blue, and so does this second capture point.
Yeah, it's clean for DXA. Off of only the CYA, they're able to find the cap, and it's because of, again, just Pars finding some of those elims, taking down Winter, forcing that BRB res, and while Winter is being rezzed, obviously can't pop the Kumiho there, so plan B has to come into play. Wosh with that freedom charge, and once that's gone, it's just all gravy. Tashi going in here now, letting the Devil out. It's traded out for Rexy, but Peter is going to be rezzed right back up, so we're back at an even 1-1, but Pars evening up the score with some more KOs. The Cosmic Flames just lighting JFT ablaze.
Yeah, and Fix getting in the mix there yet again on that White Fox. 1 KO for the back line of DXA, and that body advantage is so huge there. Lots of forward pressure coming out from DXA now, not even giving JFT a second to breathe here. They've got a ton of advantages. Feels like the cards really are all in their hands here. There is that Devil Beast Rampage from Gact here. Devil Dinosaur on the move there in the front line, bashing and crashing through JFT here. Joji looking pretty low, but somebody from JFT is on the point here, looking to sneak it. Peter will find a KO, and it's Wosh on the Captain America, will take the duel with Rexy and win it here. They are not able to make the flip, but that forces DXA away from some of that pressure they were looking to apply.
Yeah, but Wosh already got like the highest value KO you possibly could have asked for. It's the Rocket Raccoon, which means you take down a main source of healing as well as that BRB, so no one's going to be bringing Pars back anytime soon, and Song Inferno now going to come out from Peter with a CYA from Slippery. This could be huge, but it looks like there's not enough targets still alive on the ground, as JFT have managed to win that particular ground war. Nev just bouncing around to try and stall out for time, but that CYA damage is just going to be too big to overcome. 80% for DXA, but JFT are finally going to find the flip, and this is where it's going to start to get scary. DXA were trying to go for a spawn hold for a large portion of that 80% that they built up to. That way they can keep Joji and Wosh on a leash, make sure that they don't lose track of them and they don't end up in the back line, but Wosh slipped through and it all fell apart. Now you don't know where they're going to be.
Yeah, no idea here. Cannot track a Black Cat in the middle of that calling card there. Joji getting in the mix here. And like you said, 80% for DXA. Not quite one fight, but JFT going to deliver a little bit of a taste of their own medicine here. They're going for a spawn hold. They will manage to find their way out here. And Tashi looking for the next target here. Goes for the Phoenix, looking for Peter just to find one to take out one of those duelists. And they're going to try to make the flip here as well. But JFT quick rotate back to the point, and they are ready to try and hold it here. Tashi going down there at the hands of Joji's Black Cat. Overhead in Song Inferno from Pars here. Does get a little bit of damage. Winter taking a chunk of the life bar out there, but it is going to be a freedom charge from Wosh here. Get that team shielded up here, and now the KO feed turning orange here. OP, Joji binding their way back in there once again, and almost all of DXA going to be offline. Gak, the last one standing, and even that Devil Dinosaur cannot stand up in the 6v1.
Yeah, and again, it's so hard to try and get value when you don't know where Joji or Wosh are going to be coming through. Nev tries to do the same thing as Wosh and slip through the cracks to go for the back cap there, but JFT were ready for it. They had the ults, they were online. With that freedom charge, they're able to just stabilize. And again, Peter is just clicking the heads on this Phoenix. I think it's the Phoenix on either side that's making a huge difference, but Joji is not going to be outdone. Keeping Tashi checked, but there goes Pars coming on in.
Yeah, those Phoenixes leading the charge for sure here. In-Song Inferno from Peter. Doesn't find the KOs, but the rest of the team is going to be there. Wosh again on this Captain America. Double KO and looking for even more here. Winter finding a double on the White Fox as well. Nev and Tashi, the only ones able to withstand it here. Tashi swapping over to the Stranger, looking for the portal to try and stop JFT. It's going to be in time, but it's going to be in overtime here. 99% and ready for JFT to finish off this map. CYA coming down from Slippery first, just to make sure the team can invest in this fight here as one by one DXA dive through the portal from their spawn, and one by one they're gonna go offline there. Rocket Raccoon taken down. Joji will find Pars there, so Phoenix, one of the biggest tools DXA has at their advantage here, offline and sent back to spawn here. Winter's got that Kumiho unleashed as well. The ults one by one for JFT will go offline. They're able to still stay in this fight, but slowly but surely here taking advantage of it. The spark procs from Peter are good. Big damage onto DXA, but they're still not quite able to confirm this point yet.
Wosh gonna take down Rexy again. Joji onto Fix, and now with that Freedom Charge, it should be enough to march JFT to a 2-0 victory here on Krakoa, and it will do just that, but it got a little bit touch and go there for JFT for a while. DXA were in control for 80% and nearly ran away with it, but that re-engage off the Strange TP, JFT played it perfectly. I gotta give a shout out to the CYA placement from the side of JFT, putting it on the other side of the portal and forcing Pars to go back through to try and deal with it from the other side of the portal meant that he wasn't there to shore up all that damage. You needed to have him there because he was clicking those heads all throughout. He wasn't there when you needed him most, though. Wosh was with that Freedom Charge, and that was all you needed to take it the rest of the way home. Can we have a talk about Joji and his 20 final hits, though? Because I think that's a pretty big elephant in this room that we're going to have to address, Diatonic.
Yeah, I mean, an elephant even bigger somehow than a devil dinosaur for sure, but yeah, 20 final hits off of 40 elims and only 17k damage. Not the most damage in the game, of course. That goes to Peter on that Phoenix, and so many times in your KO feed, that name and that hero appeared over and over again, but yeah, very back and forth on both of those points. Of course, it's JFT taking the 2-0 here on Krakoa, but DXA not too far behind, and yeah, you know, just want to highlight again the beautiful response from JFT to that Strange Portal. Played almost as well as they possibly could have, and it pays dividends. They make that one flip on the second point, and they ride that thing all the way to 100% there. So no doubt JFT taking his first one, but you know, we were saying this before the broadcast, I am still sensing that this thing is going to go to at least 4 maps.
Yeah, and we're already kind of seeing a little bit of glimmers of that. Like, we didn't get to see the full three-course meal of Krakoa. You know, we only got 2 out of those 3, but the second one was real close. And I think that one key mistake again off that big ultimate fight on Grove, I believe it was, DXA kind of fell a little bit short. If not for that mistake, though, I think that would have also been a 99-99, if not an outright win for DXA. That would have taken us through the full gambit. We could have gone all the way. We could have taken it to Carousel and see who the better team was on this day, but there is still so much more day to play, and I think both these teams still have quite a bit of fight in them. We're going to cut to a real quick break, and we will see the rest of that fight on the other side of it. Don't go anywhere, chat. This one is just heating up. You don't want to miss it.
Anomaly located. Moving in. Target identified.
Not exactly a warm welcome, Nueva York. Optic blast!
Team Black Cat, rejoice, because this was a banger matchup when it came to Joji. I gotta ask though, CB, there was some confusion at the beginning of this game though. Before we talk about the Black Cat, it's gonna be a major factor. The Ultron got banned out, and it really felt like what enabled Joji's Black Cat a lot was more things on the back line, like say the double rocket picks from both teams. Talk to me more about this Ultron ban.
I mean, again, like, Ultron used to be paired up with the Mantis, and I think you saw the Mantis Protect coming through, and you went, we gotta get rid of her, one of her strongest allies. But I think nowadays, Ultron and Mantis are kind of interchangeable. I think they kind of fulfill the same role with that, kind of third strategist damage boost that enables the triple strategist composition to be played. Also kind of similar to a White Fox in some ways. But not so much like in this day and age, like you don't often see them together. You still can, and it is still a great way to kind of like just farm Ultron, Rage of Ultron, Ult Charge. Yeah, no, we didn't see it come out at all. So there was still like that triple strategist. I almost kind of think that the Mantis Protect might have been bait, to be honest with you.
Wait, hold on, pull on that thread more. What do you mean by bait?
I mean, like, Mantis is one of those, like, high-value picks and bans that you're always afraid of because of what she can enable, and kind of like the Gambit, you also kind of have to ban out some of the things that typically come along with the Mantis, whether it's, from the Vibrant Vitality team-up or, like, in the past with that Ultron. You're kind of afraid of what comes next after you see a Mantis Protect come through, and especially if you're trying to play something like a dive composition, like Joji definitely wanted to play. You want to try and, neutralize all the potential threats. Unfortunately for DXA, they didn't really make the most of that situation. Again, didn't play the Mantis at all. Didn't try to leverage her Sleep Spore for any sort of anti-dive capabilities. And as a result, Joji, he was awake the whole time.
Yeah, Diatonic, talk to me about this, because we saw Joji absolutely pop off yesterday on the Black Cat. No mention of her from DXA's end onto the ban phase. Instead, completely one-sided Black Cat came out for JFT, and Joji ran away with it.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, the pro sphere, if you're looking at the top elo in the game, I feel like Black Cat was almost a little bit of a sleeper, down here in my realm, not a lot of Black Cat to be cited in ranked and not a lot of discussion about her. So, it feels like she's kind of snuck her way in here, and I have to wonder, I was thinking this before stage 1 started, maybe we're going to see a lot of Black Cat initially. There's going to be a lot of wounds inflicted by her, and a lot of teams are going to adjust to make those Black Cat bans. Like you said, we've already seen Joji on it, so I have to imagine maybe we'll see the adjust here going forward.
Now, hold on. My time here is limited before we get into the next matchup. I want to leave this one little tidbit with you two, and I think this will be an interesting discussion. One of our players in the interview post-match yesterday said that Black Cat is a more powerful Daredevil. We did see the Daredevil versus Black Cat matchup in domination. Black Cat won. CB, as we head over into the picks and bans, talk to me about this matchup. Is this the end of Daredevil?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's the end of Daredevil, but I do think that Daredevil is now kind of, playing second fiddle to the Black Cat. A lot of teams like to claim they are the best Black Cat team in the world. Cough, Genji. But Daredevil, I think, does also fulfill that similar role, has that intel, and doesn't even have to pay for it like Black Cat does. But I think just the amount of different tools in the shop make Black Cat a lot more versatile. There's a lot more different things that she can come out with, and thus, I think some of these teams that want to lean more into the dive are favoring her a little bit more. But that said, Devil Dino can still punish you if that coordination isn't perfect. Unfortunately, JFT's coordination was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel like Black Cat has some notes of, when we first had Hela in the game, then we got Phoenix, which was like kind of similar vibes to Hela, but upgraded in a few ways. It does feel like that comparison with Daredevil as well, but, I think he still has a place here. Tashi's still able to make some plays with Daredevil there on map 1, so I wouldn't think we're going to say goodbye to Matt Murdock quite yet, but we'll see how things pan out over the course of this meta.
I think, Black Cat is to Daredevil what Devil Dino is to Emma Frost, where they both kind of fulfill similar roles, and if you can't have one, you'll take the other, and it'll work out just fine, but there is just, a slight edge towards one, and it seems like, in that Daredevil versus Black Cat matchup, the edge is going towards Black Cat, especially, in terms of what the players themselves are favoring.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's the utility for sure. That's definitely a big part of what makes her so powerful right out of the gate here. And of course, battle lines drawn once again. JFT gonna take that one-sided Black Hat. DXA gonna take the one-sided Dino here. We've got Luna banned out again. We've got Gambit banned out initially again here. And there's a Phoenix save coming in from JFT. DXA taking the Mantis ban at this time. They've got one last hero to save before JFT's final ban and before we get this thing underway here. But it is JFT up one map after that win on Krakoa, and they're going to take the one-sided Mantis into this one.
And I think the win condition here for DXA with that one-sided Mantis and that Devil Dinosaur is Gact, he's got to resist the temptation. Like, look at him, he's salivating. He really wants to go in. You can't just... It's so tempting to just W key with this hero and try and go in, but if you're playing, like, this kind of split dive comp with a frontline, with, like, a Captain America and a dive frontliner, you can't be participating. You know, you have to be there to be the anchor for your team, be there to peel for your strategist, punish any sort of discord between the enemy incoming dives, the enemy Captain America, the enemy Daredevil / Black Panther, or not Black Panther, Black Cat. Panthers are cats. It's confusing. Sorry. Black Cat. If there's a Black Panther, it'd be the same story too. They're all dive heroes. It doesn't... They all occupy the same space in my mind, but as long as Gact resists that temptation and is able to play the peel, which I think in this composition that DXA are currently showing on the attacking side with the Devil Dino and the Emma Frost, it's going to be a lot easier to not, like, overextend on that hero or not, like, get caught out because you will be with the rest of your Death Ball composition.
Yeah, I mean, you know, having put in some hours on Dino myself, I can tell you that temptation is very, very strong, and there are definitely some comps where hold W and win is the play, but it does feel like they're going for looking for Gak to try and, like you said, hang back with the team, play goalie a little bit, and try and keep that back line protected. We are ready to go here. DXA on the attack first, looking to try and pick up their first map win in this best of 5 series. JFT on defense. They are going to bring the Ultron this time. Joji going to play that one out for now here. Peter going to pick up the Phoenix yet again and pick right back up where they left off on Krakoa. DXA able to round the corner here at the very least to get the ball rolling here, but I imagine JFT going to look for some kind of engage here to maybe split that payload from the spawn.
They do have to be careful with Tashi on that Wolverine. If their Ironwood walls fall, Wosh is going to be on the chopping block quite literally, and there he goes. There goes my hero.
Yeah, already right out the gate here. Groot Walls coming up, trying to split up DXA a little bit and break up this offensive run. They're already halfway to that first checkpoint here. Tashi on the Wolverine this time around. We've seen his wolf before, and slice and dice is an understatement here from Tashi. So DXA going to be leaning heavy on that duelist line yet again here. And Wosh and Peter going pretty low there. It's Wosh going to go down though. Rexy will finish him off with that assault mode on the Rocket Raccoon here. So one for the back line for DXA, and the path forward looking pretty clear so far.
Strange TP already going to be coming out though. Wosh makes the swap instantly, so frame 1, JFT are going to try and go for this recontest here, but they're split off, so where does Wosh even put this portal? Is he going to try and stop the engagement from DXA? I think that's going to be a fool's errand, especially with the CYA coming out.
Yeah, already here, DXA gonna try to secure this one. Meters ticking away here. Nobody from JFT to stop him. Nobody's there to stop them. Peter will pick up 1 KO, but DXA will find 3 in response. And on the back of that CYA, more than enough here for DXA to put the hurt on and take checkpoint number 1. Just under 5 minutes on the clock.
I can't even fault Wosh there. Like, that all kind of spirals out of control off of that first kidnap that comes out from Tashi. The regen domain came out perfectly, frame perfect from Winter, but then it wasn't there for the second time Wosh got caught out, which is inevitable when you're playing their Groot. Like, it's gonna happen when you're up against a Wolverine. You can only avoid it for so long. But then that recontest with that portal, I mean, JFT were just playing in such a split way that there was really no good place that you can put that portal and contest the cart.
Yeah, a little bit of a misfire here, a little bit too much for them to worry about, but JFT right back in the fight there. Joji on that Black Cat, taking down the Devil Dino here. So most of DXA split up and offline here. Par is going to suffer the same fate as most of his team, though he will use that BRB to jump right back up. But Wosh over onto the Venom now, and so far seems to be paying off for him.
And no corner checking, especially when it's directly above you, so he's going to have good access to a diving strike on the back line. He's already in there, and you can already tell, like, DXA, they don't see it coming, so they're split off. Nev has to pull a full, like, U-turn to go back and try and peel for the team. Unfortunately for Wosh, he is dispatched, but Tashi coming in with the last stand, taking down Joji. That is a huge opening for DXA. And JFT are going to be on the back foot. Wosh is still in there, still drawing more aggro, but it doesn't matter when you're down a man, you can only do that for so long.
Yeah, it does feel like just a little bit of tunnel vision on DXA's part. They play on through, though. Tashi there on the Wolverine, looking for a victim there, going so low here, able to hold out, but a couple of ults coming in from JFT, Feast of the Abyss, and that Psionic Seduction from OB as well. Finds a couple members of DXA, but no KOs here on the ground. It's going to be a CYA, and in the air, in Song Inferno from a DXA, and Fix also has got that invisible boundary here, trying to protect him from Joji on that calling card here. Pars will pick up one on the Phoenix here, and after all that, one KO in the feed, make it two there. Fix will find one onto Wosh as well, and all the while the Batsmobile inching closer there to that second checkpoint with still 3 minutes on the clock for DXA, but Joji and Peter, again, this duelist duo from JFT, finding a way to get some value here, and they will flip that payload back their way too.
Pars coming into the fray, trying to clean things up though. Good Sonic detonation, but it's not going to be enough to find the Elim onto Peter, so DXA going to have to play this one a little bit more carefully, get Tashi in an angle to maybe try and find another kidnap. Gact is going back to try and peel again for Wosh, and this is kind of how you want to play it, is you want to force the Devil Dinos to come back, you know, again, be that peel, help the backline, but it does have to concede space doing that, especially in this particular composition.
Yeah, a little bit of push and pull here on that Devil Dino. Gact there in the middle, standing tall for now, but Peter and Joji again taking up that KO feed. Double KO for the Black Cat here. Fix on the Invis will get up off of that BRB, but Rexy unfortunately going to go all the way back to spawn here. No rocket in sight for DXA as they're getting held up here just shy of checkpoint number 2. Still a couple minutes left to go here, but DXA exhausting a lot of their resources for now.
And JFT coming up onto some big ones. They've already got that God of Mischief. More Strategist ults about to be coming online as well. They're going to have the End Song Inferno. A lot of potential win conditions coming out here for JFT. I think if you're DXA, you want to try and go with the Sonic Seduction and bait some of that out as best you can. Joji takes down Fix, though, so you're already down that BRB.
Yeah, trying to get a couple of victims for that Devil Dino to walk a little bit closer to the team here. No dice, though. Peter on that Phoenix. Double KO here again as the time slowly melting away from DXA's bank here. OP and Tashi going to find some KOs here, dueling 1-for-1. But JFT just feels like they've got so much control now. What can DXA do to try and get back in this fight?
I mean, that Sonic Seduction that I call it from Nev, it baits out nothing. 6 ultimates about to come online for JFT, so again, you have to try and take a dry fight, bleed out some of these resources, and maybe try and take the OT fight. And for how quickly DXA capped the first point, that is a terrible position to be in, but Peter is in a great one, manages to find Tashi and Song Inferno to burn the CYA. It's going to be burned itself, so the CYA will live on for another day, and Tashi will be brought back to fight again.
Yeah, very interesting exchange here. Just about 60 seconds left to go, and of course JFT playing it a little bit close to their chest for as long as they can here. Joji, though, immediately picking up one more on that Black Cat. Most of the ults expended now, and DXAs are also going offline here, but there's a couple left in the tank here. Joji's got that calling card, and Winter as well on that God of Mischief. Gonna take the invisible boundary for the team. It goes offline. OP and Slippery, though, gonna pick up a couple of KOs for JFT. 30 seconds on the clock, and second by second, it feels like DXA have lost control of the match here. There's a little bit more forward pressure from JFT as they are looking to put in the chokehold here on this offensive run.
But they did bleed all of the resources dry, and they get a late KO onto OP, so this is their opening. 14 seconds. They just got to get on point and try and build up to something. They're going to have the Psionic Seduction before long. Wosh is going to have that Feast of the Abyss. That's the duel you want to keep an eye out. Which of these two Vanguards gets most value out of these big ultimates? Gact looking to try and find something, probably maybe get a grab and convert that into an Elim. If they get, oh, they already forced out the Symbiotic Resilience from Wosh, so he's gonna have to play very carefully with that Feast of the Abyss. Peter gets the opening Elim onto Pars, though, and it's all falling apart for DXA.
Yeah, the avalanche starts here. Rexy's got the BRB ready to get fixed back up, so their strategist online here. It is going to be Sonic Seduction from Nev here, but the rest of the bodies for DXA going offline. Nobody to follow up on it, and JFT will lock them down just meters short of checkpoint number 2. 128 meters is what DXA were able to score. Definitely not for nothing, but when you're already down one map, you want to try and at least get that second checkpoint, if not clear it all the way. So window of opportunity is wide open here for JFT to take this second map.
It feels like, again, it's this duelist duo coming out from JFT. Peter and Joji are firing on all cylinders right now. Whenever Joji goes in, you know, he's finding big value Elims, either like checking Tashi again and denying any potential dives or potential flanks coming out from the Wolverine on the other side, or just outright taking down a strategist wholesale. And when you're looking at that Black Cat, your head's on a swivel, you're not doing anything to deal with Peter. on that Phoenix, so he just has a shooting gallery from any range, any angle he wants, and JFT are able to stand their ground and hold the line. But I will say, there is still an opportunity for DXA to get a better hold here, and they're gearing up once again for that double anchor comp with the Emma and the double Dino. And now they're finally bringing out that Mantis. Tashi on the Mantis and Fix on the White Fox. This is going to be an interesting triple strategist look, and it's going to put a lot of value onto Pars. If Gacton and Nev can hold the line and set up Pars to have some of those angles that Peter had on the defensive side, there's going to be that damage boost to help bolster that, and I do kind of like that strategy for DXA. It is kind of all or nothing, though. Like, you have to try and go for the full hold here.
Yeah, it seems like if JFT are able to break out here at the very start of this run, it is going to be trouble for DXA. Joji over onto the Daredevil, and Peter picking up the Black Cat this time. So changes coming in from both sides of the board here. But yeah, you're right. It does feel like that split attention between Peter and Joji really hurt DXA while you're on the lookout for Black Cat. All the while, Peter taking shots with the Phoenix here, and it pays off big time for JFT. So now the question is, can they run it down on offense? And the answer so far is yes, they can here. Peter, OP, and Joji all in the KO feed. Woj finding one as well. It is an ace right out the gate for JFT, and that is plenty of free real estate for them to capture with 3:30 still on the clock.
So it turns out we have two of the best Black Cat players in the region on one team right now, in Peter and Joji. And Joji gets to play that plan B, that Daredevil, and it pays off to perfection. DXA just get completely shunted from the point before they can even blink. They're going to make some changes. Nev now onto the Captain America, and they might be able to check Peter. They're not going to be able to confirm the Elim just yet. Even if they do, there is a BRB that he can use, and he knows it, so he's going to continue to be aggressive.
Yeah, certainly feeling like DXA caught on the back foot here, but Fix will find a double KO there onto Peter and Winter. Peter getting up off of that BRB from Slippery, so the Rocket paying dividends here for both sides of the board, and Slippery pretty low there, manages to make the escape for now, but DXA back in full force here, able to stop the disaster, mitigate that bleeding. Tashi on the Daredevil as well, will find one. Peter gonna go back to spawn, holding that calling card for now, but yeah, definitely feels like a little bit of a flip as DXA in control of the cart for now.
This next fight is going to be a scary one, though, because Slippery has the CYA, and how many times has that been a win con for either team? And you don't have the End Song Inferno now to burn it because Pars hasn't been able to get enough work done yet, so you're going to be facing the full force of this damage amplification with very few things to potentially shut it down, and Peter getting caught out, though, that's a great way to buy yourself some time.
Yeah, definitely cools off the Rocket ultimate just a little bit here, but for a few seconds as that spawn not too far away from the card here. 2 minutes still on the clock, and there is the CYA from Slippery. Gact already trying to chomp that thing down into pieces, and CYA already taken offline. JFT no way to capitalize on it, and Rexy over onto the Invis will pick up one here. Slippery, though, able to get Joji back up and in that fight off of that BRB, and now the ults left and right here. Tashi letting the devil out here under the veil of that invisible boundary from Rexy here, able to make some moves, taking down Peter all the way back to spawn here, and speaking of all the way back to spawn, DXA on the doormat of JFT here. Gak will take down Woshin just like that. It feels like they are finding a way to lock down this defense.
And it's all because of that Elim onto Peter. That gave Nev enough time to build with the Freedom Charge. Again, it's not the best defensive utility, but still a pretty good one up against the CYA, and that buys more time for the Stratus ult to come online. Maybe an overinvestment from DXA, but it got them through the storm. Another one is coming, though, and Song Inferno from Pars to try and bleed it out. Tashi strikes deep at Winter, though, and that might be another KO that DXA, like, they prayed for in their dreams, and JFT just gave it up for free.
Yeah, it just feels like failure to launch over and over again here for JFT. Early picks from DXA just taking their team fight ability and putting it in the dirt here. Under 60 seconds for JFT to find an answer here, and that card has been pushed all the way back to the halfway point to checkpoint number 1 here. Wosh has the Freedom Charge, though the team gonna charge in, and DXA don't have a lot to respond with here. Kumio unleashed from Fix, but not able to save the Invis here, so only one strat online for him for now, but that Kumio being unleashed enough to take down Peter on the Phoenix here, but JFT a lot of resources still in the tank here, and DXA feels like they just don't have the answers here, so how do they respond? It is gonna be blue for the KO feed now. JFT clearing the path yet again here. Rexy still on their way back to the card, and Nev as well still standing, but 15 seconds left to go. JFT might have found the miracle they needed.
I mean, DXA, though, they've bought themselves enough time to go for a strange TP play, and they're all going to be grouped up together for it. You could already see Joji going in deep to try and shut it down, but DXA should be able to get it off and come right on through. Full force, here we go, last fight.
1 second now in overtime. Strange portal on the Batsmobile, and a complete mess here. Kumiho unleashed yet again by Winter, taking down Tashi early on here. In Song Inferno goes up and crashes down from Peter. Doesn't find the KOs, but the rest of JFT is there. OP, double KO on the Emma Frost. Roche as well, triple KO for Emma. Rexy, the only one left standing, and JFT find the breakthrough here. 2:30 back on the clock, and they are ready for the last stretch here of Museum of Contemplation.
It was all or nothing. Gak tried to go for that grab onto Joji, throw him through the portal, and go for like a full kidnap through the portal, but it didn't come through. And with no ultimates online, DXA, like that was their only hope. And hit the rim shot there, unfortunately, and JFT with the ultimates that Kumiho unleashed specifically from Winter were able to stabilize, and now they're going to have to utilize what they have left, which isn't much to try and brute force this the rest of the way, but only 2 minutes to hold for DXA. It's still doable.
Definitely still doable, though. JFT back from the brink for sure here. Freedom charge from Nev now for DXA to try and get in the mix here and get some pressure applied to build that bubble around the payload and buy themselves some extra time here. Joji on the Daredevil yet again here, but it is OP with the Psionic Seduction here to get things rolling. DXA got plenty of ways to respond here. One of them is that Devil Dinosaur. Gak playing it close to the rest of the team here, trying to anchor up for him as this last minute and 30 goes into play here. Joji on the Daredevil, though, wins the 1v1 against the enemy Daredevil, making a double KO against Captain America, and looking for one more here. We'll find it onto Rexy. Triple KO from the Lawyer of Hell's Kitchen here. JFT right back in the fight, and Peter as well over onto the Phoenix and taking out another one. DXA offline, and a minute and 10 left to go for JFT to clear this thing.
The cart still has to roll up this hill, and with Nev on the Captain America, there should be an opportunity to go for recontest here. Tashi coming up on that Let the Devil Out to match Joji's. DXA have a slight ult advantage coming into this last fight. 60 seconds left, and they will be able to get it to OT if they play this right. And early Elim to winner.
Yeah, absolutely gonna let everything fly here. 50 seconds left to go and no holds barred, but it's gonna be DXA in the mix here. That KO feed painted orange for them as they will find the KOs left and right here. Basically a full ace onto JFT, in which is about 30 seconds left to go. Gonna very quickly approach final fight territory.
DXA might win it here. They might win it here just because of that Ensong Inferno. It burned the BRB and found the KO onto Slippery. There's no strategist ults left online. Winter 80% to it. Tashi can let the Devil Out, and if he finds Winter before that ult comes online, it's done.
Yeah, it's going to come down to target prio here, and Peter so low and taken down almost immediately by Pars there. Will trade 1-for-1 here in a Rocket Raccoon BRB, getting Peter back up and in the fight. Unfortunately, Nev going to have to walk it back for the rest of the team. 10 seconds left to go as Wosh letting that Freedom Charge fly here. JFT back on the point and ready for a fight here. Peter goes up for that Ensong Inferno, crashes down to get some good damage in there, but can't quite find the KOs. One by one, though, he will try to finish the job here. Peter taking down Pars and Fix, double KO for the Phoenix, and they are staring down the finish line here. OP and Wosh get in the mix as well, and there is no one there to stop JFT from closing out map number 2. Nev with just a sliver of health. That is gone, and so is potentially the last hope here. But yeah, Strange TP coming through. Pars gonna be able to get him there for us a little bit more overtime.
He's inside the Batsmobile for a split second, though, but does get there in time, and DXA, they don't have any ults for it. Joji has the calling card. JFT looking to push this the rest of the way. Calling card coming out, and Joji now has everybody marked.
Yeah, big potential here for them to close out. 1 KO for that Black Cat. It's on to Nev to start things off, though. Psionic Seduction coming out now for JFT as well. They're going to let anything they've got fly here. One by one, the lights going out for DXA here. They've just got a couple of members left, and they are all going to go offline. Tashi trying to keep this map alive, but cannot do it. No one from DXA on point to hold this one down here. They do manage to run out the gate. A Sentinel for just a second there, but the captain cannot keep doing this all day, and JFT turned things around, and they will take map number 2 as well.
It's gonna have to be reverse sweep territory now for DXA. They played that one so well, especially towards the end, but I think Tashi went a little bit too soon with that Let the Devil Out, and like JFT were able to just retreat back into spawn and avoid the lion's share of the damage, and the one elim that comes through, Pars threading the needle with that Phoenix, one Cosmic Flame made all the difference, but it got rezzed right back up, and as the ult expires, they didn't get the man they needed. They needed to get Winter with that Kumiho before he was able to build up to it, and they just couldn't make it happen. So the Kumiho comes out, the rest of the ults start to come out, and DXA, they just run out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of feel like trying to scramble to the top of that hill, and unfortunately, DXA don't have the endurance to keep it going here. Joji again on that Black Cat, 44 elims and 17 finals off of that one. Peter, of course, 39k damage clocked on the Phoenix at the very end there. I mean, numbers from top to bottom for JFT, impressive performances for a lot of them. But again, another close bout between these two teams. I mean, it took almost all the time JFT had. They had to play this thing out under overtime. A couple of different opportunities for DXA to close the door, and they just couldn't quite find the strength to do it here. So again, you know, it's looking one-sided, JFT taking both of those maps, but you gotta look at the numbers and you will see just how close these two teams really are.
And I heard rumors, right? I heard rumblings when I first posted my pred. Someone was like, I don't know, I heard JFT is actually kind of that guy. Like they've got it going. They seem to be firing on all cylinders right now, getting the better of their contemporary in DXA. If this was a best of 3, we wouldn't have another 2-1. We would have finally had another easy 2-0 in DXA. In a bit of a slump ever since that tiebreaker. I don't know if they've won a single map ever since they took that 2-0 loss to Kanga back in that tiebreaker, and they need to break that trend, and they need to break it now because this is going to be their last chance. They only have one more map pick. They can't take us to Convoy. It's got to be a convergence map. Diatonic, like, what do you do?
Well, you know, we've seen her on the MVP screen. We've seen the numbers that we're putting out here, but that Joji Black Cat feels unstoppable. So, you know, I don't love to just say the answer is ban out the character that's causing you the problem right then and there, because of course you open the door for plenty of other things to cause issues. But that Joji Black Cat, so deadly. I mean, yeah, it's really rough. But that, you know, you got to see something. They got to do something about Black Cat.
Yeah, well, it's going to have to be something, and there's only one way to find out what that something is going to be, and that is by sticking around, because we're going to cut to a quick break, give them some time to cook up a strategy, and we will see you after this break. Don't go anywhere, chat. Map number 3 is right on the other side.
Chrono anomaly located. Moving in. Target identified.
Not exactly a warm welcome, Nueva York. Optic blast!
We're back at it again, and this could be DXA's very last chance to stay inside Stage 1 of Ignite. And, you know, that gets kind of scary. Now, CB, we did have our top scientists on the scene in the back look through the stats, and you were completely right. DXA have not won a map since the tiebreaker matchup in preseason. They truly are in a slump.
Yeah, and that map, you know, to their credit, was against JFT, the map that they won, but they haven't been able to replicate that success here, and it's going to have to be here and now. This is going to be their last map pick. They're going to have to reverse sweep if they want to get the dub here. I said in the green room that I would be legitimately shocked if this one was a 3-0 blowout, and I don't know, at this stage I'm almost getting ready to be shocked because JFT look like they have the strategy, they've got the plan, they're executing it flawlessly, and DXA, to their credit, they're handling it reasonably well, but every time they try to go on the offensive, JFT are ready for it.
Now, look, I don't know how to bring this up without being that guy, right? But the cat in the room is Black Cat, CB. You have to ban the Black Cat, but the problem then is if you ban out JFT's Black Cat, you leave Gambit open. Is that worth doing?
I mean, I'm hearing rumors that there's some teams that are willing to do that, but I haven't seen any in OCE that, again, are willing to put their hand on that particular stove because there's so many other things that you have to ban out in order to make that work. Like, you have to ban Star-Lord. Like, if you're going to let Gambit through, you cannot let Star-Lord also get through. You have to ban Rogue, someone who we have not seen in a pick and ban draft, someone who we have seen almost no other teams play. You got to ban her out, too, and that's, already 3 out of your 4 bans. You can't also ban something else high value like a Devil Dino or a Captain America or, any of these other things. You're like, you're kind of just cooked at that point, like before you even begin. So you kind of just have to find a way to beat Joji on the Black Cat, and I think maybe going for a full counter dive might be the answer. We'll see. I think on Central Park you might have a little bit more success. Maybe this is one of the situations where the Daredevil might edge out the Black Cat in terms of just the walls, the amount of cover, the intel that the passive for the Daredevil provides you. You don't have to spend money for the Flame Orb to make it happen. So maybe this is one where they're comfortable giving Joji the Black Cat, but we'll see.
I mean, Diatonic, we saw the Devil Dinosaur raise to some prominence a little bit back on Museum of Contemplation. Gak looked like he finally came online, but once Joji swapped off the Ultron, man, it was a different story.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they're using the Dino for the anchor for sure. Definitely a solid improvement, but, it does feel like going into this map number 3 here, DXA is going to have to commit to something, whether it's full anti-dive or full ban out the Gambit here, and I don't know, I think I'm okay with them taking the Gambit if they are able to craft the rest of their strategy around that anti-dive, but maybe we're just going to take it to a 1v1 here. It is a Black Cat save from DXA. First time they have saved her first here, because the focus has really been the Devil Dinosaur for them. JFT gonna hover that Devil Dino ban for now. They're gonna keep playing it the same way they have before. I imagine, though, this is where they're gonna get Black Cat, and we are gonna get the Cat v Cat 1v1 here.
Yep, it's going to be a cat fight, but that does mean that, DXA probably going to follow up that next ban with the Devil Dino ban so that neither team gets access to that anchor. But then that does mean that the Emma Frost are going to come right back out to play, so you're totally okay with that. You can even see Nev already hovering that particular character. Yeah, the Emma Frost. So this seems to be the plan for DXA. If you can't beat them, join them. Welcome to Team Black Cat. It's a new world order.
Yeah, and I like that they're changing this up, right? I mean, this is last life here for DXA. Lower bracket elimination match. JFT on match point here. So at that point, definitely got to throw something new into the mix here. But JFT's going to go for the one-sided Luna, potentially? Or they're thinking about the Invis here.
I think you don't really want to go for the one-sided Luna because you're kind of committing to something front to back. Maybe you do still want to go for it. Luna is strong, but without the White Fox and not being able to get a team up there, you might not be able to get full value out of her. She's going to have to play more heal bot. I almost think the Invis would have been better, but there is going to be a cap ban now coming out from the side of DXA. Forcing JFT once again to try and commit to something a little bit more brawl heavy. There's still other options like the Venom, but I think they're going to kind of fall out of prominence on Central Park, and you're going to have to play that front-to-back playstyle, especially to kick things off here. Cap ban's going to be mirrored, though, as well.
Yeah, very interesting. So they're going to take the cap away from Wosh, who's been playing the... Both sides really have gotten a lot of value out of Captain America in this matchup here. So really it feels like both sides just trying to change things up here, throw some new things at the wall, a couple curveballs here and there to see what changes and see if DXA can change their fortune here, because they are definitely staring down the barrel of fate coming into Central Park here. I see Joji maybe on to some Star-Lord here, some Wolverine, definitely throwing things into chaos here as they're trying to decide what to bring to the battlefield here.
I will say, though, JFT lost on Yggdrasil Path to Fury previously in a matchup where both teams banned out the Devil Dino, and I believe that Fury, for the most part, was crutching Devil Dino the same as DXA has been recently, so maybe they're just trying to copy off of Fury's homework and get the dub on a payload map. by just taking the Devil Dino out of the equation and taking things back to good old-fashioned Marvel Rivals a couple patches ago. We'll see if that pays off, because they're gonna have to win this Black Cat duel, Joji versus Tashi, because I don't know if the Wolverine from Tashi is gonna cut it. Black Cat is just like a cut above.
Yeah, I was going to say, it kind of feels a little old school, but with a little bit of newer seasoning here, because, of course, Black Cat now in the mix for the first time here in the pro leagues, and both teams going to bring her to bear here. DXA taking the first attack yet again, and JFT going to hold up and try to hold things out here. JFT in the lead this series, 2-0, so it is critical for DXA to take the win on this one, and it looks like Whoosh over onto the Hulk this time with no Captain America.
Yeah, again, something that we saw before. It was a little bit of a liability for JFT when they played against Fury on Hall of Djalia, but I think, you know, you might be a little bit more comfortable trying to play that Hulk here on Central Park, a little bit less risk of getting caught out, trying to overextend from the rest of your team, but could still be something that DXA could keep an eye on. If they can split him off from the rest of the team, burn that Hulk form, throws him down to Baby Banner, it's a good win con early on, but so is getting Tashi in deep. It's going to force a lot of resources to go for the peel, and JFT, easy way to clap back.
Yeah, very interesting. DXA kind of charged right on into the point and looked to take some high ground here, but it is falling apart one by one, taken offline, but DXA in the mix here as well. Tashi picking up that Black Cat and immediately finding some big value here. Finally taken down by Peter, who's back over onto that Phoenix yet again here, but Tashi definitely finding some moves. DXA on the point now and making some progress.
Yeah, there's no strategist, so even though JFT are able to essentially win that defensive, they can't take the ground, so DXA can just march right on and take the fight on the cart, and that's where you want it. And Song Inferno gonna come out here from Peter, trying to even the score, but when the sparks expire, you're not gonna find an Elam off that, especially through the invisible boundary.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a misfire on that Song Inferno, and now JFT gonna start falling apart here. Pars and Gat will pick up a couple of KOs. Nev finding one on that Mecha Groot here. 2:30 still on the clock, and DXA about halfway to finishing off checkpoint number 1, and Tashi in the back halls here of Central Park, taking down a couple more members of JFT. Slippery over onto the Doctor Strange, makes the portal play, and with just a sliver of capture progress left, they are able to make it back and make one more fight here, but Tashi picking up KOs already as they jump through the portal here, and JFT trying to find a foothold here. They will not be able to find it, and Pars taking out OP with that Song Inferno as well here. DXA, it is all DXA here as just under 2 minutes left to go. Gat's got the Eye of Agamotto here as well. Whoosh gonna go back to Bruce Banner for him. I mean, it is DXA definitely turning things around here at the start. They'll get that first point captured, and they've got 4:15 on the clock.
At least on the first point, Tashi is definitely win the Black Cat head-to-head. I mean, getting the better of Joji, taking down Strategist, has that calling card, beating Joji to the punch only by a few percent, but still is going to have it. Also has the Flame Orb, so can track JFT's re-engage here. Gact, you mentioned, had that Eye of Agamotto, help DXA push that the rest of the way forward. I think JFT, like, they're going to have to invest if they want to stop things here. That Hulk smash is almost definitely going to have to come out, but if you're DXA, you can just try and wait that one out. Calling card's going to happen early on and force some resources, and Tashi getting checked there by Peter, only able to force out the regen domain, but the Kumiho Unleashed also coming out from DXA. Oh, this is a huge misfire from DXA.
Yeah, and we saw something similar on Museum of Contemplation too. DXA came out the gate swinging so strong to start off, and they slowly faded away, and it feels like a bit of a fade here. Joji on that calling card, double KO, make it a triple for the Black Cat here. Peter in the KO feed yet again as JFT quickly regained control of the match here just after checkpoint number 1. So curious to see, is DXA about to flame out yet again here, or can they find a way to keep this thing rolling?
Well, looks like we're going to be going to a quick pause here in a second, but in the meantime, DXA, like, again, like, they kind of went a little bit too aggressive with that play from Tashi, you know, trying to make that calling card happen and doubling down with the Kumiho Unleashed. Like, I think that came back to bite them because they couldn't convert that into any elims, and the rest of DXA was still so far back pushing the cart that they couldn't augment that offensive, no matter, like, even if they wanted to. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. So JFT don't have to invest. They don't have to pop the Hulk smash. They don't have to stall anything out. Again, only using the regen domain, converting that into 2 elims, and then they just go in with Joji's calling card, and it's basically for cleanup duty at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like we've seen a little bit of misfires on both sides of the board here, but yeah, just not enough value for DXA after that first checkpoint. Again, it feels like notes of Museum of Contemplation all over again, just the second verse here. DXA had some solid plays right out of the gate. They got things going their way so early on, and they just weren't able to keep converting that to a map clear. So again, DXA in the driver's seat, taking that first attack here on Convergence, but now it feels like JFT getting the hooks in and slowly drawing that cart to a a halt here. So I'm curious to see post-pause what we're going to see from DXA, because they've got plenty of time to recover here. They've got some opportunity to make some changes, but so far, yeah, I like the Black Cat matchup here. That definitely has favored DXA quite a bit, but you know, that's just not enough to carry them to the end of this map yet.
And I feel like they feel like it's favoring them quite a bit as well, but almost too much. Like, you know, maybe it shows a little bit of the inexperience from Tashi, and not to imply that he's inexperienced on the hero, but potentially a little bit less so than Joji, because it's rare that we see Joji overcommit in the way that we saw Tashi overcommit just now. Like, Tashi got rewarded for sticking around long after his welcome was worn out the first time around because he was able to take down 2 strategists, but the second time, like, JFT were ready for it. They just catch him out, and DXA overcompensate to try and make something happen that was just not going to happen. And I think Joji having a little bit more experience when it comes to playing this hero in officials is going to be a little bit more aware of that. Like, he's not going to fall for that same trap. He's not going to be like, oh, I'm feeling myself now. You can't stop me until you can.
Well, you know, I hear from a lot of top-level duelist players that confidence goes a long way, right? There is a mental game in playing out those duels, and sometimes thinking that you are the better duelist, you are the better Black Cat, definitely can help. And, you know, maybe just a little trigger-happy from DXA's side, you know, like you said, overextending just a couple times and getting punished for it, taking their lumps indeed, but still able to keep this thing moving. I mean, they're over halfway to the second checkpoint. They've got still almost 3 minutes, I think, on the clock.
Yeah,
so plenty in their favor. Yeah, 2:58. Yeah, so plenty working in their favor here, but you know, we saw it again on Museum of Contemplation. It just felt like they had some small concessions, some small losses that really added up to a pile of misfires at the end of the day. So I have to imagine they're seeing that as well, and they're thinking, how do we clean this thing up? How do we keep moving? Because you definitely don't want to flame out like they did there on map number 2.
Yeah, and to your point, on map number 2, they failed to capture point B. Like, we still haven't managed to clear that hurdle yet, and they also came into point B with a wealth of time, just like they did here. Sure, they burned off, you know, upwards, like around a minute of it already, but still having 3 minutes means you have plenty of time to take at least 3 good fights here. You know, maybe 1 dry fight and 2 very heavy ult fights, or just 1 fight that you win outright in the neutral if you get lucky. There's still plenty of time, but you can't let JFT start to get that momentum again, because they will stall you out just like they did on Museum of Contemplation. And trying to play for a full hold on point B when you're switch sides, when you're second up on the defensive, it's so hard because it constantly feels like your back is up against the wall. You have that added level of stress knowing that you cannot let this cart move another inch, otherwise it's done.
Yeah, and I mean, from DXA's perspective too, you know, they're kind of stuck here. They know that the end, that last staircase towards Dracula's lair is definitely tricky for a lot of offensive teams to try and clear.
A literal uphill battle.
Quite literally, yeah, and that high ground is so advantageous for defense, so they want to try to get there, holding on to some of this time bank, ready to get things moving once again, though. 2:30 on the clock for DXA, as they're over 3/4 of the way to that second checkpoint, so want to see them get that, because then they will have cleared a lot further than they did on map 2.
You can again see, though, like to our point earlier, Joji knows his limits. Like, he's holding this angle and he's not going into aggressively. Nev taking down Peter, though, so Joji knows he's got to make something happen, but he's able to take down Tashi, and the invisible boundary from Rexy is a little bit too late to save his life. Wosh is popping that Hulk smash to try and keep the pressure going for JFT and force more resources out of DXA, and they're going to do just that with that invisible boundary now coming out from Winter.
Yeah, just holding on to that end song Inferno here from Pars. Peter on the move, got that ready to go as well. Doesn't even need it to take down Gact, though. Joji will pick up one on the Black Cat as well. We'll find Pars on that Phoenix, and now JFT yet again in control here. Under 2 minutes for DXA to try and turn this thing around.
Black Cat just does so much, man. Like, Joji knows exactly where the breakpoints are to go for the assassinations. Also, again, knows his limits. Even in this duel against Tashi, is going to fall back. A great bubble coming out and a good exile as well from Wosh. Like, he's not playing too far away from his team. His team are keeping him on a relatively short leash, but he's able to make the most out of the space that he's got on his hero.
Yeah, it does feel like finding his footing there on that Hulk, but gonna have to quickly find it here as DXA ready for a fight here. They will find 1 KO pretty early on, make it 2-3 there, double KO for Pars. The whole KO feed turning orange for DXA, and that is some serious free real estate here. They're gonna go ahead and grab checkpoint number 2, get that time refresh, and look towards the final checkpoint here. 2:35 on the clock for DXA.
And they've already bested their performance on Museum of Contemplation, so that is 1 monkey off your back. But here comes the next one, that uphill battle, or upstairs battle that we were alluding to earlier, that DXA are going to have to try and brute force their way through. And they have 2 good ults to potentially do it. 4 now actually about to come online. And JFT Not gonna have any strategist ults. I mean, the invisible boundary is gonna be one of them, but you can bleed that one out pretty easily with either the Eye of Agamotto or the calling card. The latter of those two is going to be the death blow, but they don't even need it. They just go into the neutral, Fix finds a KO onto Winter, and it's all falling apart for JFT.
Yeah, they will simply just build the body advantage for themselves here. Kumiho unleashed from Fix. Wosh super low in that Hulk, looking for a bit of healing. Can't find it though. Going back down to Banner here as Pars on the Phoenix. The payload may not quite be in Dracula's throne room, but DXA gonna take the fight all the way to the end of the map here. I like the situation here. I like the positioning from DXA, trying to keep it aggressive and keep that door shut on a JFT here. There goes the invisible boundary, ready to go for Slippery here, but already body disadvantage for them. Nev taking down the Luna Snow here, and DXA again in control. A minute 30 left to go, and that card is on the move.
Good cancel from Winter, though. Our old pal French Venom says we, and that's about as far as he can get. We don't get to see the full Feast of the Abyss coming out. Joji taking down Tashi. Sonic Seduction from OP is going to once again lock Nev down. Peter is happy to get a little bit of those left clicks in there and keep him going onto Gak. That's a nice two-piece there for Peter, looking for the third, but Wosh is going to rob him of that glory. And now as we're down to only a minute left for DXA, JFT have managed to regain control of this carton. Another exile now coming out from Wosh. They want to keep pressing this advantage, converting to more elims. A late stagger onto Rexy, and Peter nearly getting caught out there as well. Or sorry, Pars nearly getting caught out there as well. JFT are looking to try and stop DXA from even getting back to this cart to contest it. I don't know if they're going to be willing to give up another inch on this cart. It is now or never for JFT on the defensive side. A lot of ultimates about to come online for both sides. Only down a Sonic Seduction for JFT and only down that Kumiho for DXA. So this one's all or nothing for both sides.
And it's Tashi sneaking up in there, finding one onto Peter already very early on. OP going low and going down there thanks to Gak on the Doctor Strange. Joji gonna flip the calling card here, and JFT gonna let everything fly here. Invisible boundary almost getting taken down immediately by DXA. It's gonna be at the Venn diagram though. Boundaries from both sides. The Eye of Agamotto from Gak doesn't really find anybody to stun here, but DXA gonna clean house here, finding a couple of KOs. Wosh though taking down Rexy. Song Inferno goes up, comes down, no damage coming through there, but Wosh will find another one onto the White Fox there, but DXA with a second left on the clock will clear Central Park.
JFT stacked their strategist ultimates. They layered their strategist ultimates. DXA made them flinch. That's the story there. JFT, they could have held that one out past OT. They were even starting to get some elims there towards the tail end, but they just kind of bled out one after the other because they didn't have that second strategist ult online. The Invisible Boundary and the Fate of Both Worlds both at the exact same time, and that's the kind of thing that you only do when you're scared and comms start to break down. JFT are starting to sweat, and DXA are putting the pressure on them, and with only a second left, like you said, just in the nick of time, a photo finish, they complete it and secure at the very least extra innings if we see a full completion out here from JFT, but JFT, after that mistake, are going to have to regroup and come back here fast on this attack and really make the most of this one.
Yeah, I mean, at least in this series, this is the first time we've seen JFT kind of left on the back foot. It feels like they're able to turn the corner almost every time here, but now they could not find a way to stop DXA short of that throne room. So now they are looking at gonna have to take this map into extra rounds if they want to try to close this thing out in 3. And even if they do, it has been a close 3 maps between these two teams here. Exactly the kind of matchup we were expecting going in. There are going to be some swaps here from JFT. Slippery's on the rocket here, so going to look for that damage amp off of those CYAs, but they are going to have to clear the way and make it snappy here. JFT on the attack after DXA clears Central Park and are looking to try and win their first map this series.
Wondering if Joji might go for a cheeky little portal play on the Black Cat. I mean, we did see, I believe it was Vulcan Red try it last time against Kanga, but didn't work out so well for them. Maybe JFT will have better luck with it. We'll see if Joji's able to farm up some of that cash and money to spend on it, but now JFT just gonna go straight in the front door. Don't need to make any back doors of their own. Joji just going invisible and diving right on in, forcing out the teleport from Fix, and that is a good start, but Pars taking him down.
Yeah, it really looks like DXA very calm, very zen coming into this matchup here, and already in control, almost a minute away of JFT's time, and one by one they are getting walked down here. Joji, though, will find Tashi on that Black Cat whip, and JFT gonna take a second to regroup. They've definitely got the time to do it. Where is Joji going?
Oh, he's going back in again. Helm of Hades for another invisibility. has full access to the backline right now, and that's going to mean JFT can just walk right in. And with OP and that Endsong Inferno, the damage just too much for DXA to parry. No strategist ultimates. Hell, no strategists left, and that's going to be the first tick given up, potentially the second as well. Tashi going in to try and stall and buy some time for Nev to get this strange TP off, but it might not be in time. Another photo finish going to have to come through for DXA.
Yeah, nail biter yet again. They do make it through. DXA through the portal here. Tashi's up. The whole team is up and ready for a brawl here. They've almost got an invisible boundary ready to go too, but it is going to be that psionic seduction coming out for JFT here as they're going to try to lock down this third and final tick here. They are just a sliver away from it, but DXA already on the point, pushing them back. Endsong Inferno crashes right down onto OP. Some good damage there, but it is blue favored there in that KO feed. Winter as well got the dance floor ready to go. Fate of both worlds to keep this team alive. Kumio unleashed from Fix, and now Nev's got the Eye of Agamotto ready to go too. As soon as they've got an ult, they are popping it here, and there's the airmail. Eye of Agamotto, and Peter will go down while stunned. Whoash taking some damage as well, but cannot quite find the way to KO that Venom just yet here. And over half of JFT's time taken down, and DXA have slowly regained control.
Yep, 99.33%. 2/3 of a percent is all that stood between DXA and losing that point. They are hanging on by a literal thread right now, and Joji with a pair of scissors looking to try and cut it, but a good peel coming out from Gact, and now the Psionic Seduction to force JFT back. And if they can find this Elim onto Joji, which they do, no calling card is going to come out from JFT, so they can't make this engagement happen. The Res Beacon is going to come out, but they're going to lose Peter for it, and now with the calling card coming out a little bit late, Tashi and Joji going blow for blow. Joji finding a two-piece. It's going to be a quad now coming out, potentially a fifth. Will be hit with a Carbon Crush. Is that going to be enough to slow him down? Tashi, not to be outdone with a triple of his own. And again, DXA are able to hold on. 1 minute and 10 left, and JFT are left scratching their heads, wondering, how do we break this?
Yeah, they go band for band here, but the deck is stacked in Tashi's favor. That calling card, insane on both sides of the board here. Now under 60 seconds left for JFT. They're back down to just 2 ticks of progress here. So DXA putting up an iron curtain here on a defense. And even though Joji came back with a vengeance off that BRB beacon, it was not enough here. Peter's going to start this off, though. Endsong Inferno comes first, and we'll find Fix. The White Fox taken down right away. No strategist online for DXA as JFT bites back here. Almost everyone from DXA sit scrambling here, turn tail and run, and JFT 6 on the point. They will make the flip here. 3 minutes to go, and JFT are right back in the fight.
But JFT are sweating. They're starting to get nervous. They're starting to make mistakes, and DXA are capitalizing on those mistakes. And if they don't overextend, and if they don't make any mistakes of their own, they can keep putting the pressure on, forcing more of those errors and capitalizing off the back of them. They're going to have an ult advantage here. They should be able to get an early capture and flip the cart in their favor, stop it from making any more progress. They're going to go in deep for it. Nev with a dive, a charm onto Peter to try and shut down some of that damage. Tashi going in deep is going to take down Slippery. They get both members of the backline off the Endsong Inferno, and this is going to be DXA reclaiming control.
Yeah, they just take a moment to sharpen their claws here, and sharpen they have. Gact and Pars in the KO feed. Fix will find one as well here. DXA on full strength yet again. 2 minutes to go for JFT just after that first checkpoint door here. Not a ton of progress made, but they are going to come back with a vengeance for sure. But man, DXA, they just let up for a second and then put the gas right back on here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you need to do, you know. 2 minutes trying to go for the spawn hold here. Tashi again has the angle, takes out Slippery early on. Fix is there with the Kumio as well. Fate of both worlds coming out now from Winter to try and stabilize, but it's going to be real difficult to do that with only this one strategist. Pars gets caught out outside of it. Whoosh able to take him down, so a 1-for-1 trade, and this is where DXA needs to keep that pressure going if they want to stall this card out for as long as possible. Again, the cancel onto the Feast of the Abyss, putting Whoosh on a diet.
Yeah, beautiful response here from DXA. Even in the face of all this pressure, they are playing it out here, and it is dueling calling cards yet again here. Joji and Tashi both letting them fly here, but it's Joji that gets the upper hand here. Double making a triple for that Black Cat. Left, right, up, and down. You cannot figure out where she's going to be next. Quadra KO there for Joji off of that calling card, and DXA unfortunately losing it pretty early on here as JFT make the breakthrough, and with about 60 seconds left to go, are well on their way to checkpoint number 2.
I don't know if you saw how much cash Joji was rocking with after that calling card, but that's the beauty of getting that much value off of that ultimate and not being punished for it. You basically get to go shopping with someone else's credit card, get whatever tool you want. Ensong Inferno and a Sonic Seduction both now coming out, one side for the other. It's going to be a trade out, Rexy for Joji, but without Joji there, that cash going to be reset, and JFT are going to be on the back foot now. They turn around to try and peel for Nev, but it just gives Pars a shooting gallery, able to take down Winter, and with no Stratus online, it's going to be hard for JFT to try and go for the engage here.
Yeah, but Winter's right back up off of the BRB here. Slippery's got CYA ready to go here, and Peter's gonna find a KO on the Phoenix as well. That is Pars going back to spawn here. Now JFT staring down the doors to that second checkpoint here. Joji finding one, and it's a feast here. A feast to the abyss for Nev, but shut right back down. The buffet is closed for now here. Slippery with a little bit of insurance there. CYA ready to go to make sure they get it, and they will have it. JFT taking checkpoint number 2 with about 1:30 left to go.
That's a late stagger onto Fix. I mean, the stagger onto Gact was already bad, but onto Fix is even worse, because without that healing, it means that even Nev, who is alive, has to play very safe, can't over-engage. Already going to get hit with that from OP. Is already taking a 2v1 against the enemy Vanguard, so can't hold any ground, and DXA have to basically give up the entire staircase. JFT now have the map control, and how many times do we have to say it that Joji, when he's got map control, can just play it wherever he wants and get easy access to the backline, and what do you know? He's already there.
Yeah, playing it so similar to how DXA played here as well. Already in the throne room and already taking names here. Joji gonna find Rexy. Gact will make it a 1-for-1 though on to Joji. Peter gonna pick things up though, and Joji will get right back up. So for the most part, the team is here, but Pars will take down Wosh. So that's one Venom not in this fight here. Sonic Seduction from OP as the clock ticks down to 45 seconds. Kumio unleashed from Fix as well here. Strategist ults left and right as Winter's got Fate of Both Worlds ready to go. Ensong Inferno from Peter as well will make the KO here onto Pars. Slippery will get one as well onto Gact off of that Rocket Raccoon chain gun here. And with just 30 seconds left to go, JFT fully in control of the card and ready for another fight here with DXA.
And calling card is going to be online for Joji. That's going to be their win condition. Tashi is lagging a little bit behind on that one and isn't going to have the space to use it, so they need to track Joji down, but he's going to pop it early, and DXA already going to have to walk out of spawn with their heads on a swivel. Can they deal with Joji? Ensong Inferno from Pars. They're going to take down Winter. That's a high-value elim, and the first salvo goes the way of DXA, and the second for Pars. Give him the triple. OP getting caught out. A triple and a quad for Pars. He's going absolutely insane, giving DXA the hero play that they need, and that should be enough. There's going to be a strange TP play potentially coming out from Winter. Is it going to be in time? It is.
Single-handedly keeping DXA in this series, but they can't plant boots on the point. Walk right off out of the strange portal, and JFT cannot close it out in 3. DXA on the board, and we are going to a map number 4.
And I am so glad that this one is now starting to live up to the expectations, because again, I was going to be so disappointed, so sad if this was a 3-0 blowout. Despite how strong I heard JFT was, I knew DXA still had that fight in them, and they proved it here, and Pars, a big part of the reason why. Putting the team on his back for that last fight, 18 final hits for him, I believe 4 or 5 of which came in just that last fight. Tashi also going band for band with Joji for a large part of that Black Cat head-to-head. 21 final hits for Joji, 24 Tashi, only 1 behind, and that ain't bad for just picking up the hero in the third inning here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, maybe the numbers don't quite match up, but it does feel like Tashi able to get just a little bit more of an ounce of value out of those Black Cat plays. They were left a couple times with Joji having the calling card and Tashi not quite having it ready to go, but they play right on through it, and they are able to hold them at the last second. And yeah, Pars single-handedly clenching his fist, Infinity Gauntlet on, saying, I'll do it myself, gets the Quadra KO and keeps DXA in the fight here. Absolutely insane comeback. Signs of life abound here for DXA, and they are not ready to throw in the towel on this stage 1 run quite yet. Very, very impressive from both teams here, really. Both big shows here on Central Park, but DXA saying we are not quite done here just yet.
It really is like a battle of the duelists. Like, I'm gonna give a shout out to Peter on the losing side there. You know, he swapped to the Invis, but was playing that Phoenix for the most part. 15 final hits for him, 35k damage to match up to the 30k from Pars. So the Phoenix is like in these neutral fights when they're able to just hit those left clicks like you see on your screen right now. It's making up all of the difference, and it's giving like so much more space for these Black Cats to go in and find these elims on the backline, and vice versa. It's a symbiotic relationship between the two of them, and both teams playing it to perfection on this day, on this map. DXA getting the better of it, but Like we said, it's going to have to be reverse sweep city from here on out because they got to do it 2 more maps in a row. But maybe, just maybe, they have found the sauce.
Right, it's a great bright spot for DXA, but it only reveals the rest of the path forward here in this series against JFT. They've still got to win these last 2 maps, and there are no second chances left for them. So,
and it's
keep playing
JFT's map pick.
Yeah, I was about to say, the biggest issue they're going to face is that it is not just JFT's map pick, it is their territory from here on out if DXA want to close out this series. They will have to win in JFT territory twice to close this thing out, so no more map pick advantage for them.
And not only that, but the map pool opens up now again. We don't have to go to anything in particular. They can take us back to domination if they want. They can go back to a convoy map. They won both of those game modes. Why not? They can take it to a convergence. Maybe they can even be the first to throw that lower Manhattan curveball. You never know. And we don't know either, but we cannot wait to find out. Unfortunately, we're going to have to, as we're going to cut to another quick break. We will be right back with map number 4 on the other side. Chat, don't go anywhere. This one is heating up, and you don't want to miss it.
Chrono anomaly located. Moving in. Target identified.
Not exactly a warm welcome, Nueva York. Optic blast!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a match in our hands. Best of 5, lower bracket. One of these teams, unfortunately, will be going home for stage 1, but we don't know which team it will be yet. DXA have finally won a match in this matchup, but CB, it took a Phoenix, it took a Black Cat, and it took a mirror matchup for DXA to do it. You did mention that JFT were making mistakes. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like there was a couple of moments where JFT were starting to crumble, starting to slip up. The one big key mistake that I think almost lost in this map entirely was the fact that they layered those strategist ultimates in that last fight, and that was because JFT were feeling the pressure. DXA were really starting to push them. They knew they had to react. They knew they couldn't give up any more ground, and in that moment, the comms just broke down, and both of the strategists from JFT hit Q, and it was pretty much over from there. Like, if they weren't able to match up the progress, send it into extra innings, it was not going to happen. Now on JFT's map pick, they're going to take us to Hell's Heaven, and we cannot see big, potentially fatal errors like that again. Otherwise, we're going to a map 5, and DXA take us into reverse sweep territory. I'm looking into the future, and if we see that reality, if you're JFT, like, you lost in a mirror match on your comp on Central Park, and then you lose again on Domination, a map type that you previously won. What do you even do for a map number 5 if you're in that situation? So those errors, they gotta be cleaned up.
Titanic, you gotta help us out, my guy. What's the solution going to be here? Do you find a way to ban out that Black Cat as soon as possible if you're JFT?
I don't think I would say I'm ready to see them ban the Black Cat yet. I think they can win the mirror because it was pretty close between Joji and Tashi, and there were times where both of them were winning the 1v1 here. So I think it's just about cleaning up, like you guys have been talking about, some of the issues here and there. You know, no big glaring errors per se, but as that margin of error gets thinner and thinner here, just a razor line across the board here, you want to see them clean that stuff up and take those small wins, because that one little tiny win could be what puts them over the edge here, because every single map has been such a close back and forth.
We're moments away from getting what could very well be the final matchup for DXA in Stage 1, unless they can survive and bring us to a Game 5. CB, Diatonic, as you two go into the bans and picks, I want to ask you this one question. Are we going to see Game 5?
I hope so. I think at this point, you know, both teams are at a point where even if they end up losing this series, they can hold their heads high and say they played their hearts out, but I really want to see them play their hearts out. They've gone the distance every time we've done a best of 3. Now we're in a best of 5. If we don't get that 5th map, I feel like, you know, I've been let down. Like I'm a kid at a candy store and I got to walk away empty-handed. Like, Mom, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is going to hinge on how JFT bounces back. This is the first time we've seen them on the back foot in this series. DXA, like we've talked about all throughout this series, breaking that streak. They're out of the rut now. They finally won a map since that tiebreaker in the preseason, and now it is up to them to lock in here, up to JFT to clean up those couple little things here and there and try to take this one home. So yeah, I think it's going to depend on that mental game and how long it takes JFT to recover from the loss here. Very similar notes as we saw in map 3. It's going to be Black Cat v Black Cat yet again here. White Fox banned out on both sides, so no Kumiho being unleashed, and now JFT hovering that Devil Dino ban. They're both going to take out the dinosaur here, so no Dino on the field for this one.
Yeah, going for the White Fox ban on both sides, like prioing that, I think is a little bit odd, but it becomes relevant when you're protecting the Black Cat because that simultaneous ban for the Devil Dino comes through. But a protect onto the cap, that would go crazy for JFT, and yeah, that might be something that DXA is going to have to worry about, because remember, you know, JFT, they were playing that dive composition with Wosh on that Captain America back on Domination before, and that's how they won it with that 1-2 punch. It was Wosh and it was Joji going in, getting their value, finding their mark, and hitting it every single time. A ban onto the Phoenix, though, that does mean that Pars is going to have that one-sided unless that ban is also mirrored. We might have to see a change-up coming out from both sides, and another cap protect coming out from DXA. Oh, this is desperation bans from both teams. There's the Mirror Phoenix ban. All right, so Pars and Peter are both going to have to adapt. Maybe we see that double brawl that we saw a little bit of from JFT previously with both the Black Cat and the Daredevil. I think that's one way you could go about this, but Pars hovering the Star-Lord, I mean, what do you even play here now?
That's kind of the question I'm asking too, because yeah, both sides saving the same heroes pretty close. No, it is mirrored. It's 100% mirrored across the board here. They both have access to the same pool here. So yeah, it's going to be some more change-ups. So like we saw in Central Park, you know, they changed the formula in the draft phase, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. But yeah, you know, you said desperation bans. It feels like this series, when we started out, kind of a nice, you know, fencing match, gentleman's agreement here, you know, back and forth. And then when the Black Cat mirror happened, it felt like we were down in the dirt here, throwing haymakers left and right. So neither team giving each other quarter here. JFT still on match point here. They just got to find one map win in the last 2 maps of this series to bring it home. But DXA definitely locking in a little bit more and looking a lot cleaner on map number 3.
So JFT are going to do pretty much exactly what I predicted. Peter is going to be taking up the Black Cat now, and Joji over onto the Daredevil. And Pars' answer for what do you play when the Phoenix is banned is going to be the Bucky. And up against these 2 divers, he's going to have his work cut out for him. I think he can farm a fair bit of damage off of OP on that Venom. It's going to be a full-throated dive comp coming out from JFT. DXA hedging their best a little bit, playing a little bit more of that split comp with the Emma and the Bucky as the anchor. We'll see who ends up getting the better of this exchange, as we have another gentleman's agreement there between the Captain Americas, just flashing her shields at each other and saying, hello, how do you do?
Yeah, and you know it's going to be dive with their full chest here on Hell's Heaven. It could be nothing else here on Hell's Heaven for map number 4, and we're already underway here. OP and Pars going to trade back and forth here, but Fix going to get up off of that VRB beacon, and it's going to be DXA taking the body advantage here. 4 members of JFT taken offline, and Tashi onto the move right out the gate here, all back onto the Black Cat, and DXA going to take the first cap here.
And I think that's the difference of the elims. Like, you saw that OP went in and got that dive in that early elim onto Fix, but it doesn't matter because Fix is going to be in range for the BRB, but on the other side, it was traded out. Pars caught Joji out, and Joji is also trying to go in for that dive. He's not going to be in range of DXA's BRB, so he doesn't get the res, and DXA can't make the most of that one. Or sorry, JFT can't make the most of that. DXA will get the better of that exchange, get the first cap here, and Tashi has full map control. Is going to get checked as JFT are going to walk right on through. Joji, again, you know, can see through the invisibility, so Tashi isn't going to be able to hide from the lawyer from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, trying to get cheeky with him. I saw the flame orb there right above the door. JFT is going to come out, so definitely got a little bit of a security camera there, but not enough to save Fix or Tashi as JFT find a couple of early picks here. DXA quickly approaching that 50% capture progress, but how long can they hold out for? Pars going down as well, a victim of Joji's Daredevil here, as it looks like JFT are quickly going to try to make this flip here. Blue standing tall on that capture point, not able to finish it off quite yet, but Winter will find one onto Gat, so Emma set down to the spawn area for now. JFT make the flip, and DXA stopping at 59% so far.
But it's been all neutral from here on out. No ults expended on either side, and all the ults about to come online for both sides. Sans Peter, who is a little bit behind when it comes to that calling card, so this is an opportunity for Tashi to get the better of that Black Cat exchange now that there's a new cat at the helm.
Yeah, and still it feels like JFT don't know what to quite do about this matchup yet, though Peter does kind of wrest away some of that control that DXA will try to exercise here. Now it's a Feast of the Abyss for OP here, and JFT on the move. CYA coming down from Rexy cannot save the members of DXA, though one by one they are going to go down, and Tashi's going to have that calling card first. Will take down Peter on that Black Cat, but Joji going to get right back in there and keep JFT in control. Daredevil KO for him, and still holding that Let the Devil out here. Going to look for the KO onto the Rocket Raccoon here, as well as JFT got all that pressure and keeping DXA far away from that capture point. 50% for JFT already.
Both teams showing good discipline, only investing 2 ults in that losing fight for DXA, and JFT only using 2 ults to win it. Sonic Seduction now going to come up from Gak to get control of this high ground, create a little bit more safe space, and confirm the Elim onto OP as well, and there's not going to be a BRB for that one. It's traded out for Nev, but Nev also not going to be in range of the BRB, so okay, both of these Vanguards are going to be out of the fight completely, and it's all starting to break down. Wosh finding Fix, though. That might be it for DXA.
Big pick onto Joji as well on the Daredevil, but all that does is pop the BRB from Slippery, and now everyone from JFT back on their feet and ready for the fight here. Joji gonna let that Devil out as they are almost 80% of the way there, though. Nev's got that Freedom Charge ready to go for the team to try and stay in this fight here, sink their teeth into this capture point, because JFT quickly approaching that capture of point number 1 here. Again, that margin for error so small here, as now the other Freedom Charge ready to go, and Peter will find one on to Pars here as JFT gonna take the body advantage yet again. Triple KO for the Black Cat as Fix and Gak both become victims of Felicia here. Joji will find a double KO, make that a triple as well on the Daredevil, and JFT have taken down everyone from DXA. No Doctor Strange in sight, and OT ticks away. JFT will take point number 1.
Peter starts to come online at just the perfect moment there, you know, on low HP, still goes in to take the duel with Pars and wins it, shuts down that Kraken Impact from coming out, which would have been a potentially fatal blow once those Strategist ultimates started to expire. The invisible boundary on one side, the fate of both worlds on both sides for that matter, and JFT able to get out ahead just about by a teeny tiny little margin there. They end up winning, I think it was like, what, 56 to 100, but still, they could have very easily lost that fight. DXA were starting to come into their own, but it's Peter that ends up shutting it down, and again, getting the better of that Black Cat exchange. Pars not going to carry that Kraken Impact over onto the next point. Instead, going to swap back over onto that Star-Lord, hoping to take to the skies and take the fight a little bit further away from Peter. Maybe that will be the way forward, but I don't know, Diatonic. It's starting to look a little bit dicey here for DXA as they just conceded their one advantage they had over JFT. The next ultimate come online is now going to be that CYA, but you're also going to have Slippery not too far behind in OP with that Feast of the Abyss. Any follow-up damage from Joji or Peter on that Feast of the Abyss, especially onto Rexy, we might not even see that CYA come out for DXA. It's a lot of acronyms, by the way, I just said.
Yeah, I was gonna say alphabet soup for sure, but yeah, it feels like we've seen this happen several times now on domination between these two teams. DXA can get the early cap pretty effectively and pretty consistently, but once JFT get control, it is tough for DXA to play the attacking side of domination, so they gotta find a way to break through that iron curtain here, because you almost guarantee that JFT is gonna find a way to flip the point their way. Maybe it is the Star-Lord here that'll be the advantage. Rexy's got the CYA down ready to go here as DXA fan out and are looking to take that early first capture yet again. again here. Pars focusing Peter hardcore. Can't quite make the play there. Nev will finish him off, but it is all blue in that KO feed yet again. Slippery going to throw down the CYA as DXA's goes offline, and most of their members too here. Nev hunted down by Joji, and JFT will have the first cap here on point number 2.
It's still not a bad fight for DXA. I don't know if I love Pars going into that small enclosed room to try and confirm that Elam onto Peter. He nearly had it, but Wosh came back for the peel, and Nev was a little bit late for the cleanup. So they do get Peter towards the end, but it ends up trading out Pars' life for it. They do force out, though, both the CYA and the Feast of the Abyss, and OP got nothing off of that Feast of the Abyss. So DXA do come into this next fight with an ult advantage, and OP overextending just a little bit, Symbiotic Resilience, and that swing to get back out. Wosh holding the door and slowing Pars down. Pars not in a great position to let this Galactic Legend rip, and that is going to buy JFT more time to respond.
Yeah, time quickly running out from DXA's perspective here. Calling card from Tashi comes out. We'll find Slippery right out the gate here. Gat gets one, as well as one by one. Those blue lights on the left side of your screen go out there. OP's got Symbiotic Resilience ready to go here, but how much longer can that Venom hold out for? DXA looking to make the retake here. They will find it all. JFT sitting right back to square number 1. It is DXA that make the retake here, just short of 50%.
And full credit to Tashi, going in with that calling card, catching both strategists split from the rest of the team. And maybe that's an overextension from Wosh and OP, as they weren't going to be able to come back in time to get the peel. And Tashi just finds the 2 highest value picks you possibly can. And there's a small window of time where this Galactic Legend from Pars could make all the difference. As you can tell, he's going for a flank, trying to catch on to these strategists before that invisible boundary comes online.
Yeah, gonna try to catch him lacking, and there's the Galactic Legend coming out from Pars. Now we'll find the Daredevil right out the gate, so Joji taking offline here. Nev's got the Freedom Charge ready to go for the rest of the team. Double KO for Star-Lord here, playlist popping and ready to go as Pars trying to keep DXA alive here on map number 4, making a Quadra KO. The Peter Quill cannot be stopped here. 40% for DXA, and they're about to overtake JFT as one by one. They're all going back to spawn here, and DXA right back in the fight just as quickly as you thought they were down and out. They are here once again on the back of Pars on that Star-Lord.
And they use Calling Card, Freedom Charge, and Let the Devil Out, and they got nothing for it. Just that one ultimate, plus that Freedom Charge that comes out from Nev as well, does shut it all down, and JFT now behind the 8 ball. They're coming up onto their other 3 ultimates good, but DXA, they've got 3 of their own, and Tashi is definitely going to beat Joji with the punch when it comes to that Calling Card. So even if you lose this fight for DXA, you have another win con for the next one, but Bosch looking to try and check him. Tashi gets out alive, though.
Strategist ult's going to be key here for JFT. CYA is already on the board here, as yeah, it is going to be DXA to get the first Calling Card in this fight. Very quickly approaching a .2 capture, though. Joji able to take down Tashi to start things off. BRB getting him right back in the fight, and the Black Cat is here yet again. Joji and Winter back in the KO feed, taking down some more members of DXA. Slippery will finish off Tashi for good this time as JFT look to retake it yet again here. DXA stopped at 89%.
But it's a 2-for-1 trade in the ults, and Joji isn't the one who does the bulk of the work, so Tashi is going to have that Calling Card for the next fight, and Joji only 2/3 of the way there, going to be lagging behind. So if Tashi gets another big one like he did last time onto Winter or Slippery, Tashi's either going to find both of the Elims or he's going to force out the invisible boundary. Either way, it's a win.
Yeah, definitely some big potential here for DXA. Gonna be looking for a retake here. Maybe they can do it in one fight. Of course, there is a Strange Portal online for JFT, and there's a whole bunch of ults coming out from JFT. I have a remote from Gact is good, and Joji caught lacking a little bit outside of Winter's invisible boundary there. So one big pick there. Tashi taken down by Joji as well. There is a Rocket BRB ready to go, though, and there's that Galactic Legend yet again from Pars. The game changer before, shut down immediately by Joji in just a few frames. Black Cat taking Star-Lord offline here. Big target prioritization for JFT. Peter's ready to go as well. Dance of the Butterflies coming out. They can't quite stop him here, and he will take down Tashi. Overtime now for JFT as they're on 99%. Nev's got that Freedom Charge as well, as DXA gonna look to try and wrest it away from him here.
DXA, they have the tools to keep this fight going. They need to win it here and now, though, as it's at 99%. OT ticking away. Nev is going to go in deep and find Winter, so there's not going to be any healing coming out here for JFT. Freedom Charge will make up the lion's share of it, though. Feast of the Abyss coming out as well. Joji is going to be rezzed up with that BRB. Tashi trying to find an Elim with this Black Cat, these Phantom Strikes, but the peeling is just too good for the backline for JFT. DXA have yet to find that one fatal blow. Fix has fallen. It's traded up for Peter, but now is the Strange TP coming out. JFT are going to be able able to get their reinforcements back online. Wosh is taking down Pars, and it's all starting to fall apart. Tashi trying to make a miracle happen, taking down Joji, and it's just a dogfight on the point here. But as Wosh takes down Rexy again, there's going to be a lot less healing on deck for DXA, and they may have run out of steam at the critical moment. JFT strike a critical artery. DXA cannot stop the bleeding, and this overtime wick will bleed over. JFT will take the dub 3-1, and DXA, unfortunately, are going to have to bid us adieu.
And so heartbreakingly close to the retake there. Gact throwing down the Eye of Agamotto, but in desperation, can't make the play, cannot find a single stun, and JFT will take that open door, walk right on through, and close this one out in 4. Joji, MVP here on Hell's Heaven to wrap things up, and just when it looked a little squirrely for JFT, they are right back in and looking better than ever here. They take home most of the medals, though Gact putting in some work on that Doctor Strange there. Just unfortunate, the whiff on that Eye of Agamotto at the end. It's going to be a long game of coulda, woulda, shoulda for DXA as they walk away from this one and from stage 1 here way earlier than I would have thought. You know, this clash between these two teams, so surprising to see it here early. Can't believe we have to say goodbye to one of them, but it is DXA that are going home today.
And there is a little bit of I mean, not going to be any coulda, woulda, shoulda from JFT, because we talked about how they needed to clean up some of those mistakes from Central Park. Their will was ironclad this time around. They don't make those same mistakes, and when things start to get tense and the OT fights start to break down, they end up making the right plays. They don't lay their ultimates. They don't make those critical mistakes, and in fact, Wosh recognizes that there is a dogfight happening on the point, and we've got enough men to be, at the very least, stand our ground on it. So if I just go in deep and stop the people from coming back on the respawn, we can keep that man advantage going. He takes down Rexy on the re-engage, and it's over from that point on. There's just nothing left that DXA can do because their health bars are finite. There is nothing to replenish it, and all JFT have to do is get their guys back on the point, take the dub, and they do just that. There's a little bit of a moment where you can tell JFT kind of doubt themselves as they swap Joji over onto that Black Cat off of the Daredevil so that they can get Peter onto another hero. I believe it was onto the Star-Lord to try and mirror. I'm not sure, because once again, Peter ended up on the Invisible Woman. So looking at the scoreboard, some chicanery. You know, Peter ends up in a weird off-roll position, but that's just kind of how the cards shake out when you have to go for those train CP plays. But JFT, like, they execute it to perfection. They look every bit as strong as they did on maps 1 and 2. Those mistakes from map 3 completely cleared up. Map 4 decisively theirs.
Hey, I don't have to say anything. I think CB said it all perfectly. But I will ask you one question.
Fluent in
though,
Japanese.
Hey, look, we're all yappers here, right? We gotta be. But for JFT, they've beaten out DXA. They are not in the upper bracket anymore. They're still facing elimination. They're gonna have to make their way all the way to the grand finals by having themselves teeter-tottering on this Pirates plank of potentially falling into the water and never coming back out. My question for you is, it's actually a two-folded question. My first question is, can JFT make a Cinderella run in the lower bracket? And B, can that run be stopped if somehow a team can beat Joji's Black Cat?
I mean, I think Joji's Black Cat does seem to be the main focal point of JFT's compositions. I'm wondering if their bag does go deeper than that, and maybe if they do get challenged and forced off of that, if we run to a situation where that's just not working and it becomes clear in a best of 5 series that it's not gonna work and they have to adjust to something they're not as well practiced on, you know, we could see them taking an exit. But I do also believe that the Cinderella run is very much so still on the table because they've, you know, bested one of their contemporaries right now in DXA. We haven't seen them play against Kanga, but we know they have beaten Kanga in the past, and JFT look even stronger now than they did when they beat Kanga previously. So that's one matchup that I'm going to be looking forward to if we get to see that one. They played close to Fury, and there's even an argument that they could have beaten Fury on Yggdrasil Path, or potentially even on that third map. We saw that series between them. So I think just about everybody on the field is beatable for JFT, with the exception, of course, of Genji and the Chiefs. It remains to be seen if they can best the Chiefs. If they can, then whoa, what even happened here? How did they just level up this far ahead? I don't know. To answer your question in short, in summary, it's very doable.
Okay, you know what? I'll take that. And speaking of Woe, we have Wosh on the line here. Ring. I think we're just about ready to get our interview done with him, and I think we have a lot of questions for JFT once we're ready for that interview. See if we give it a second. I think
I got at
Wosh's
least a few
connection.
questions.
Wait, hold on. We're peeling the dials a little bit. I think we're just gonna need a few extra seconds. Oh, okay, not ready yet. So, Diatonic, I gotta ask you, do you agree with CB's sentiments? Do you think that JFT has what it takes to go for a large lower bracket run? And I'm gonna expand it even more. Do you think they have the upset potential to take that second place slot or first place slot?
Yeah, so, I kind of look at my predictions for how this bracket would play out when I'm thinking about, how the rest of this lower bracket's going to go. I had DXA taking this match because I felt like it was kind of a toss-up, right? I'm definitely a DXA believer for sure here, but now JFT kind of taking that slot. I think they have potential to beat most of the other teams in this bracket on paper.
Okay.
I think they can do it. I do think that the question you have to ask, looking beyond teams like Fury and Kanga, that, yeah, they'll probably struggle against, but a good chance they can win those too. I think the question is, who or what do they do against a team like Gen.G or the Chiefs? And I think for most teams here in Oceania, that is kind of the gate. That is kind of the litmus test to determine how powerful they are. So yeah, I think that, Chiefs, Gen.G, definitely tougher in terms of trying to upset those teams. Those are going to be the ones they truly struggle against. But I mean, JFT looking so much cleaner, a lot of improvement from preseason into stage 1. And the question, how much of that is the meta changing? Does this meta favor this particular team, or do they feel more comfortable on the heroes that work best here in Ignite? Those are questions we might be able to get some answers to here in just a minute or so. But yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. I think they can beat teams like Fury, like Kanga. I think they will struggle against Gen.G and the Chiefs, but we're just a week or so into the Season 8 meta, so who knows at this point?
Hey, look, our big expectation coming into this stage would that be we would have a huge Vanguard meta. Everyone and their mother was hyping up Devil Dinosaur, but if JFT have proven anything today, I think the Duelist meta potentially may be coming to a rise. Phoenix and Black Cat were a staple of this series for JFT. We started seeing DXA copy them towards the very end of Hell's Heaven CB. Are we going to be seeing a lot more of this duo from here on out from every team?
I wouldn't say from every team, but it's definitely going to be a staple for JFT going forward. A lot of these other teams are going to try and play, they're going to try and make the Black Cat work, but again, like, she's pretty high in the ban prio, so if they're trying to play for the Devil Dino, they might not be able to play the Black Cat and the Phoenix like we've seen a lot of from JFT, so yeah, there's going to have to be some flexibility. I think this is a meta, this is a game for that matter where flexibility is important because metas can change just from week to week here in between patches. A new hero drops, a new balance patch drops, and suddenly everything gets turned on his head. You got to have a deeper bag than that, but I think we have got someone here who can tell us just how deep JFT's bag goes.
The dials worked! Hello? Can you hear us, Wosh?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, hello. So, first of all, congratulations. Very hard-fought victory. You are all the first people to eliminate a team from Stage 1. Congratulations. And how do you feel about ending DXA's run very early?
We feel pretty good, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
I would have liked to have beaten Fury yesterday, but it's nice that we're still in. We beat DXA. Also kind of sad that we took DXA out because we're like good friends with them. So I probably would have liked to take out a different team, but feeling pretty good though. So.
I like to hype up the blood feud between like you and Kanga and DXA just to kind of like, amplify the drama. But like, as we've heard from Tashi in the past and even from the guys from Kanga that like, you're all friends, you're all homies, it's all for the good of the community. But Fury is kind of the odd man out there. Do you think that, if you played Fury again, that you could beat them and potentially eliminate them if they end up being, if they find themselves in your crosshairs in the lower bracket anytime in the future?
Yeah, I think we could beat them. I think it was like pretty close. We did kind of mess up in like the last fight. I think we might have won, but I think we could probably take them out if we play them again. But I think it'd be pretty close still.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in terms of the field that's still standing here, you guys have a very solid chance against a lot of them. And, I feel like there's a very clear kind of trend line upwards for you guys in terms of improvement, looking at how you played in preseason to how you're playing now here in Stage 1. What's kind of changed? Is it kind of now the Season 8 meta you guys are more comfortable with, or the new heroes, or is there something that's changed from preseason to Stage 1 that have helped you kind of clean things up and look even better?
I think triple support like being a bit worse and like Black Cat becoming a lot better. I mean, I get to play like Cat more into like non-triple stop, so it's like a lot nicer to be able to dive backlines. And also like we've been practicing our dive a lot more. And yeah, I think it's pretty much just like we've improved our dive, and then triple support's like kind of out of the meta. Well, it's still meta if Mats is open, but it's a lot. I mean, the meta's like around Black Cat a lot, so yeah.
Y'all improved your dive. Yeah, you could say that again. It was ferocious to watch throughout the matchups today, and even yesterday. What's up?
I have a question about the dive. 'Cause like you say you're cleaning up your dive. I've also noticed you guys play a lot of Hulk, particularly. How does he fit into it? Because that's like the one thing that you guys are doing that like I don't think anybody else is doing right now.
I just like playing Hulk a lot. I think his bubble is really good, specifically into like White Fox. Because when you bubble like everyone and she goes melee form, she can't heal anybody if she's hitting bubbles. So I think it's really strong. And then a lot of teams are running like Venom, and I think Hulk is really, really good into Venom. Like obviously I can bubble like his ult, I can bubble every dive, I can exile him. Yeah, and then I think Hulk's like versatility and how easy it is for him to just jump into a backline and support an entire dive. Especially like, I really only play him when Cap's banned, so. But I mean, yeah, I think Hulk's really strong. I think he's pretty underrated.
Okay.
I think in dive.
Now, for our final question here for you, because I'm sure you want to get resting or whatever have you after a matchup, right, Wosh? Again, Black Cat very strong so far from what we've seen. In your opinion, because your team has had one of the most dominant Black Cats so far, what would you say is the way to defeat a Black Cat?
I think
you're already hesitating. Like
anticipate her dive, I guess, but like she like can come from like any angle because of the portal, and she's like, I think she's really hard to mark out because of how mobile she is. Like a lot of the time when we're calling like to kill Black Cat, I don't even know where she is on my screen because she's like teleporting all over the place. But I guess like White Fox is probably good into her. I don't know. She's like, Black Cat is so broken. I tried playing Hulk into her. I couldn't even do anything about it. So I guess like you'd have to heavily mark lanes so that she can't really get a good angle to dive on. Yeah, I think that's like kind of the only way because she's so strong right now.
Oh, so strong, so strong. I'm sure we'll be seeing so much of her, especially from y'all in the lower bracket. I'm expecting a very big JFT run. Would not be surprised if we see y'all in the grand finals. Wosh, thank you so much for joining us here for the interview. I really hope we'll have you guys back on again. Who knows, the way y'all been playing? Wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely, Wosh. Thank you so much.